For you, what's the quintessential purpose of your keynotes? Do you have a vision of going beyond just being this wonderful speaker that you are?
Look, it's always been my dream. I also run a marketing business and I do some other things. The thing is, for me, it's always been about creating a greater impact. And I'm Venezuelan. That's where I'm from. I've had the opportunity to travel the world and I've experienced what it is like to be multicultural and speaking different languages, and how, by being in different countries, I've been very much accepted and at the same time rejected. So I know what that's like, and I know the impact it can have in a person's humanity, confidence. It can either build people up or tear people down. The fact that we're different, which can be seen as a good thing or as a bad thing. So for me, the keynote, the essence of this is the message. And I have 3 core messages. It's not just the one thing that I'm looking here to provide when people listen to this. And one is the shared responsibility that we all have as human beings to respect and accept each other. I could be coming here and say, well, yeah, I'm Venezuelan, I've got this accent, and then you should respect me, kind of thinking. And then if you judge me, then it's on you. No, what am I doing for that impression that I'm leaving on, for building that trust? How this is my responsibility as well. So that would be the main thing. And that responsibility element, that is not just down to one party, it's for everybody. And I also like to see all of these differences. There's the difference, fantastic, and we respect each other, but there is also the growing commonalities. And a great commonality right now is the language element that we have, that even though we all have different accents, because, I've learned it back in Venezuela, and then you guys are Americans, and there might be other that speak with British accent and all of that. There is a great commonality. If I didn't speak English, I couldn't be here today. I couldn't be sharing my knowledge and my insights with everyone else. And potentially within your audience, there would be lots of people that couldn't be benefiting from this because they wouldn't speak the language. So it is the growing commonality within that difference that we all can respect, which is kind of my number 2. Growing commonalities, people, and we can look at each other and say, yes, we're different like this, but we're also quite equal like this. And how can we then work together? For organizations, this is key as well. And quickly to my 3rd element is just uniqueness. Appreciating and embracing our uniqueness. As I like to say it, embrace your weird. We are all weird in a way. So why do we always want to fit in? Why do we need to be more vanilla? No, be less vanilla. Be more you. Embrace, what makes us different. Embrace it and enlighten the world in your own way. This is what we need nowadays.
How do you work with folks that maybe have accents that have more negative stereotypes or connotations associated with them? For example, Oprah Winfrey is from the American South, and I've read and seen a bunch of videos of her over time where she worked for years to dilute her Southern accent because she didn't want to be judged as someone that was seen to be less intellectual, less smart because of the stereotypes that are here in America. So what do you say to those folks, and how can they really flourish with their Southern accent or with some of the other accents?
Well, I usually ask them, do you want to be free or do you want to be confined? That's the first thing. Because once we embrace who we are, and that's the thing that usually is the most difficult thing, to be happy in our own skin and confident and comfortable. Because once we do that, we go out there and guys, I'm getting judged every day. I'm being rejected often. That's part of the deal. I'm not expecting everyone to like me. That's why I say to people, look, you're going to get rejected and that's fine. But the people that like you, they will very likely fall in love with you. And we don't need to be liked by everyone, because then that would be actually being more vanilla. What we really should be aiming for is for this tribe of ours to follow us and to grow it, because there is enough room in the world for each one of us. And I always go back to the responsibility element, because then it's easy for us as well, for me with the accent and everything else, say, well, guys, if you don't like me, that's on you. No, then what can I do in order to build that connection, to bridge the gap? Sometimes it won't be possible, and then that's fine. That's okay. So I'm never looking to avoid my accent, but I want to speak with clarity. That's the different thing as well.
What do we in communication, and I know that you're a TEDx speaker. I remember reading years ago, Talk Like TED by Carmine Gallo, trying to figure out what are the 8 key components to effective communication. What is, if you could distill all of this down, what is the key to communicating effectively when people have that, I have an accent, I am afraid, like you just started to say, how do I want to be perceived? What's the one thing that you could say to them to say, this is how you should be, this is how you should envision yourself, this is what you should be thinking about yourself, and this is how you should display yourself to the world?
Look, communication starts from within, okay? And I love the work from Carmen Gallo and Speak Like Ted. All of that is fantastic. And I consider that is the external element of it. That is what we do, but all of that is coming from within. This is what I suggest to people, and it's actually 3 steps, very simple to follow, that will enable people to reframe, to take ownership, and be consistent in their actions. And then I'll give you a little bit more on the communication element. But then, as I said, communication starts from within, and I have something called the FOC model. F stands for flexibility in our approach, in our ability to perceive the environment, just like you did. You heard the Italian guy speaking, and right away, you gain a perspective around that person, and you thought, yeah, there's going to be a plus here instead of the negative. So people, we are responsible, and we can actually say, look, I'm going to look at this as an opportunity, as a speaker, and I'm going to embrace my uniqueness. Second, I'm going to take ownership completely. I'm not going to blame anyone from whatever happens. And then I'm going to be consistent in my actions until I achieve what I want. So I always ask people to, think, what is the outcome? What is your ambition? What is that thing that you want that is going to be way more powerful than the fact that you've got an accent and all of these limitations? How can you embrace it all? And then once you have all of that sorted in your own head, go and speak with vulnerability and humility. That will be the main thing. Go and put yourself out there and be ready to experience rejection as well, because it is part of the process. Be vulnerable, be open, not to manipulate because you feel it is coming from within, and be ready to be rejected. Those are the key things. And then from there, you can learn every time. And the last one, be open to feedback. There's nothing like feedback. Be open to feedback.